Alright, here is another workout for y'all. I believe the total runtime on this is about 13 minutes and some seconds, so about 14 minutes. This is your under 15-minute workout. And you start off with a hang and some shin scrapes. Shin scrapes, you have the chin, the head is loose and relaxed. And then these toe hops. So basically, hang, open up the shoulders, shin scrapes, open to the posterior chain, toe hops, start firing calves, balls of the feet to get the plyometric side of things firing. Then we're back to the hangs. Now it's going from passive hang to active. And in that active hang, I'm pointing the toes, engaging the abs, kind of creating that hollow hold, right? Hollow body position. But I'm not trying to hold it the whole time. I'm really just trying to hit that range of motion from fully elevated scapula to depressing the scapula and then connecting up through the core, get that hollow hold. Back to the shin scrapes. Ancient Eastern methodology here. Elbows down the shins. Now I'm going to the wider version. So on the first set, his feet close together, about hip width. Now we're going into kind of a high split. You're going to find that this hits different angles on the hamstrings, also opens up the back. Now on this toe hop, I'm trying, maybe not very effectively, but I am trying to pull my toes up towards my nose after I hop, which creates this almost like a slapping effect off the ground. It's getting those anterior portions of the tibia in the lower leg firing, so that we're getting that foot contact ground with the time of contact to hit the ground shorter and shorter, trying to create that explosive effect rippling through the whole body. There's some references that we can put up on that as to why that's effective or why that's a good training technique, but I can tell you that it's simply more mindful and more powerful than just hopping up and down on your toes like you're doing jump rope. Definitely trying to promote more of an explosive effect and a more connected body from toe to top of head. So next, we're going through this 3 rounds. So this third round, I start in the kind of the middle high split, and I go to a even wider split. Again, letting the lower back release, keeping the head and neck loose. I actually get so low here, I have to put my head through my arms. But now I'm able to touch my elbows to the ground. I've loosened up. And then back to those toe hops. You can see me trying to pull those toes up towards my nose, almost like a duck foot, webbed foot slapping off the ground. Now, making sure that my camera's following me, I'm going to hit some dips. We're going into a dip stretch, press. Dip stretch, press. I think there's only 3 reps here on this first set. And it's really all about the range of motion and opening up those joints, lubricating the nearly 50-year-old joints. Now, that hang has been worked on in the warm-up, and we're going to pop a couple pull-ups. Finding the right configuration of hands, elbows, shoulders, just doing 3. Just not getting the full range of motion cooking. My elbows tend to heat up when I do a lot of pull-ups and a lot of pulling, which sadly is, limiting. So I want to make sure I'm very kind to myself and very ginger when it comes to getting the pulling movements set up in a workout. And if it's not going to be all systems go, then we're going to find something else to do with our time and work on calming down those hot tissues. In my case, the elbows. Hanging knee raise. Again, a way to get a full body core activation. We could do it hanging off the bar and do more of like a toes to bar kind of thing. But ultimately, the idea was focus on the abs, focus on the core, give the elbows a rest, give the grip a rest, and continue to move through this. This really is an upper body core workout, upper body, waist to shoulders, waist to hands workout. Let's see how many pull-ups I do here. 3, 4, probably going for 5. And 5 is that classic strength training number in the 5x5 lifts methodology, illuminated and elucidated by dozens and dozens of the big name gurus out there. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to do strength training. We're trying to gain some muscle mass. So if I'm doing 5 reps and it's not super challenging, then I'm going to get multiple sets in. If I can't complete 5 reps, then I have to question whether it's too heavy or I'm just simply trying to do something that's a challenge at that rep range. So I'm going to understand that 2, 3 reps, that's a max lift. Whereas here, I'm trying to do multiple sets and I'm switching between exercises quickly. So I want to make sure that I'm able to do enough to elicit a change at the level of the tissues, and at the same time I'm not trying to overdose and burn myself out. And there's 5. Again, making sure they're really clean reps and that I'm able to complete them fully. Didn't even mention this air squat. It's almost like the side dish here, as we love so much to load the barbell and get under some weight. However, because I've been doing other things with my legs in the days prior, I wanted to get the squat movement in. I wanted to get that hip hinging in that shape, the full range of motion. Also challenged myself, 10 reps times 3 or 4 or 5 sets, whatever I do here, and then I'm suggesting that you do here, if you're following along, is sufficient. The following day I may be able to do weighted squats because this really isn't a heavy load on my body, on my system. So, now we're getting some dip reps in. I think it's funny when you look at my elbows that they don't appear to be fully extended. And I've noticed this in a lot of videos of people doing dips. It feels as if you are going to full extension, but you're not. And I think the difference is you're not locking out. So you're getting to a point where you have unloaded the elbow, or at least have completed the rep to a degree that you are more straight than bent in the elbow. And so the force feels like it drops away, the load feels like it drops away in the tricep, and you feel like, well, it's time to go back for the next rep. There's something to be said for that, in that it is effective in building strength. There also might be something to be said for making sure you hit a full lockout. I think on some level, doing the full lockout and pausing every time just feels a little bit boring. Maybe if I threw a load on it, that might be something to discuss in a future video. Throwing a load, pinching a dumbbell, say a 30-pound dumbbell between my knees, which would scale this up quite a bit for me, and then going into the full lockout and seeing if it's worth it to really get that full lock, to fully unload the tricep, put the load in the joints, basically, put it in the skeleton as opposed to the muscle, and then dip back in, hitting the load, full range of motion, top to bottom, and seeing if there's a way, if that allows you to eke out a few more reps. And I would argue it probably does, just since not watching the video, and it's just something worth thinking about, considering, Here, now, I appear to be getting a full lockout here on these tricep extensions. Again, now this is the 3rd round in this workout. The first round being just a wake up, hanging, hollow hold, jumping on the toes, stretching out the back and the hamstrings, posterior chain, get the whole system firing. That's my thought process in that first group. Second group, legs were a little bit tired. on this day. So it's like, let's crush some dips and pull-ups, which is a good old school body weight, never going to do you wrong as long as it's not aggravating some sort of other problem you have, but never going to do you wrong. Dips and pull-ups, always the bread and butter of muscle building, strength training. And so now this is like the kind of the icing on the cake, beach muscles, summer style workout, right? Throw some curls up, take those dumbbells. I went from 20s to 30s. Could I curl more and do less reps? Yes. But this is what we're doing today. It's not necessarily about, it's quality and quantity here. I'm getting a bunch of good reps. And then also, by the way, transitioning from the curl to the tricep extension here, after doing dips, it was kind of killer on the tris. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, we get the bicep curl, the tricep extension, bent over tri extension, and then I'm just getting up on the GHD and banging out 20 sit-ups, doing that for 3 rounds. So it was 10 curls, 10 tricep extensions, and to do all of this in just under 14 minutes it's kind of fun. I don't think I set any records or proved to anybody that I'm, such an amazing athlete. But what this does is, this is one of those workouts where I did this in order to share it and to not necessarily prove a point, but the point is proven that you can get in a great workout in 14 minutes. A little bit of everything. The camera wasn't following me here, so I had to there you go, wake it up. And I guess this is probably the last set here. And getting a little pump, dare I say it, and just finishing it off. So look, any questions you have, I'd love to hear from you. This is a new format I'm experimenting with the picture in the picture. Let me know what you think of that. And we'll be back with more training videos. And I think I'm actually going to not always talk about the video. I think there's other things to talk about besides exactly what I'm doing, but that's what I end up doing here today. And there's also a YouTube live that's going to occur. I'm going to try to do it every Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. If you say you're going to try to do something, probably means you're not going to pull it off. But this is the thing, is that I also feel like this is, get comfortable. Get comfortable being on camera. Well, I'm comfortable on camera, but get comfortable speaking, kind of stream of consciousness, have a coherent thought, be able to get the words out of your mouth that you want to actually communicate to people. And I find that, I've got a lot to say, I've got a lot to give, but it doesn't always come out that way. And I think as far as leaving a legacy, that's what it's all about. I hope you all well. Hit me up. Talk to you soon.